All right, so at this point, you guys should have enough of these already cut. And you should have some of these. So you're going to use 4 per finger. You guys can see that here. You use 1 on this side, 1 in there, in between these 2 popsicle sticks, and then another 2 over here. So you'll use 4 of these little segmented popsicle sticks for these rubber bands. And I'll show you how to put them together in a bit. So you have, I told you guys that you should probably figure out a system to label these. That way you can keep track of where they're connected to. So if you look at your hand, you can look at the different segments on your fingers. You can count your wrist or your palm as a different segment. So right here, I'll label these, let's say this joint, I'll label it A1, and the other popsicle stick that's going to get connected to this one is obviously going to be A2. So that's why I labeled this one right here, A1 and A2. So you guys can see that right there. And then over here, you'll see that these are going to be connected to A2 and, or sorry, B1 and B2. B2. So this is how I have that set up. So A1 with A2, B1 with B2. So these right here, if I have this like this is A1, that's going to be connected over here to, I have A2 is going to be connected to A1, and then over here B1 is going to be connected to B2. So that's how my joint system works. That's how I know which parts go with which. So right here for these, I'm going to need something to kind of hold these for a bit before I put my, before I put the paper clip through and cut it off to kind of, you know, hold the joint together. So you just want to make sure that you have these, you know, going, one that's going outside, one's going inside, the other's going on this side, and then the other's going on the other side. So I have them like this, overlapping. So then the next one that's going to go over here is B2. And then I'm going to have A1 over here. This one is going to go on this side. So they're going to interlock like that. They're going to overlap like this. You guys can see that from this one over here. So you have this one on the outside, this one's on the inside, then you have this other one over here, and then this one on the other side. So they should look like this. So I'm going to put something through it. I'm going to put this same screwdriver through it, kind of hold it in place. That way I can work with the fingers while I'm, you know, not having to hold it. I'm going to leave it like that for now. That way I can kind of see what's going on and work with the joint itself. You'll see that whenever you rotate this right here, whenever you bend it, some of this wood from the popsicle is sticking out. It should not stick out. So we need to give this a definite shape. We need to form this. We need to kind of, if you have sandpaper, we need to file that down. So you can get an idea of how much you have to cut through it just by doing the following. So let's say you want to cut through that. If you remove one of these, or at least one by one, and you connect it with another over here, like let's say put this on top, you can get a clear idea of what shape you should have on there. So you should have something like this. I need to cut off these little points over here that will kind of bother my finger from bending well. So you have to figure out a system, or at least a way to kind of shave that off. Let me show you guys what I will do. Oops, I already confused which one I should have over here. There we go. This one's over here. I think I already mixed them up. Hold on, guys. Let me remove that. These go over here. This one over here. And this one over here. Outside, inside, outside. There we go. And inside. So here we go. I figured it out. So let me go put this back and show you guys what you can do to kind of get them to fit. So these pieces that you see that they're extruding out from the wood, you want to cut those off. So you can start off one by one if you want. If you have sandpaper, you can do them all at once. So these pieces that are, you know, coming out, you want to smoothen that out. You want to cut this part away. Be careful with this. Yeah, I need a better manner to remove that excess wood. So you want to curve these edges, right? And cut off just a little bit more than. And remember, when you're cutting, you should always cut outwards, not towards you. And try to have your fingers hidden from the blade. So I'll have something like this, right? So I'll make it a little bit more smoother. So once I put this back, this should not pop out. So it's still popping out some. You need to cut it a little bit more if it pops out too much, because this finger is going to need to slide without this portion popping out so much. So I can cut some more off of that. It still needs some work on there. So you'll have to do this for all of them. So I like doing it like this because the same popsicle stick is protecting my finger. So that's why I was trying to show you guys to do this right here. You don't want to have any of your fingers exposed. So you see how it's getting shorter and it's not bothering this top portion of the other popsicle stick. So you'll have to do this for pretty much all the segments that compose each finger. Because they do need to move freely. So you'll see that right there. So it's more in the inside. I still need to trim off a little bit from this edge over here. And I should be good. If you have sandpaper, again, this will help out a lot. So I do recommend that you guys find sandpaper if you have, you know, the time to go the store. So it should look a little bit like that, and you're going to do that same thing. There we go. So you see how it doesn't come out of the popsicle stick anymore, so it's within the popsicle stick. So you'll have to do that with all the segments for the finger. In order for this finger portion, this segment, to rotate and not bother the top portion over here, this little piece of wood that I have that prevents it from popping back to the, you know, bending to the other side. You need this piece of wood, and you can't have this piece of wood if this popsicle stick is sticking out. So you need this motion right there. So you'll need to do the same thing for all of them. The same thing for all the popsicle stick segments that you'll have. That way they can move freely like this. So if you have this over here, this one down here will not bother it. But let's say I'm going to remove this one, the ones that I haven't worked on. If I put this on top, let's say these are my fingers over here, then this portion of the popsicle stick is not going to rotate well. It's going to lift this part up. So that's why you need to cut it down some, like this one right here.